This story was submitted by Mickey G42. Disney After Dark, Part 1. You've all seen the stories. Weird shit going on when you work for the mouse. I was wary, but shit, I needed a job. With COVID happening, I needed to work. When I first saw the post, I was shocked. I was pretty sure Disneyland was closed. Sure, they needed security, but still, I figured they'd just keep who they had on the staff. I really didn't think I'd just get the job with no interview. A few of my friends got hired there before the whole mess of a pandemic, and they said it was quite the process. Me? I applied, and the next day I got a phone call offering me the job. Even that was a little strange. Looking back, I should have been worried, but really, I needed to work. Hello? Hi, is this Mike? A panicked voice said. Yeah? This is Penny from Disney. Are you still interested in a job? She asked, hopeful. Absolutely. When can I come in for an interview? Actually, she said, pausing to take a breath, can you start tonight? Really? I asked excitedly. You don't have any questions for me? No, we just really need someone. We, lost a guard, so we are really short. You seem to have the exact background we are looking for. That should have been another red flag, as I had exactly zero security experience. Once again, my need for money blocked my better judgment. What should I do? Where should I go? You can head to the employee parking and tell them you're the next overnight guard. They'll be expecting you. Everything else we can deal with later. You won't need your ID card or anything right away. What should I wear? Normally, we would have a costume. That's what we call our uniforms. But most of our grave costumes are soiled. Just wear slacks and a polo shirt, and comfortable running shoes. I'll meet you at the employee parking to show you around. Be there by 10:30 p.m. The shift will start at 11. In hindsight, another flag, especially considering the amount of running I've done already. Instead, I stupidly replied, awesome, I will see you there. I was ecstatic. Everyone wanted to work for Disneyland. I'd been going there since I was a kid and always dreamt of working there. Sure, I'd heard how shitty it was sometimes, but I blamed that on cynical people. There's no way it would be that bad, right? It was supposed to be the happiest place on earth. I called everyone I knew, gushing about this great opportunity. One of my friends, Dave, who already worked there, was the only one to sound weird about it. Graveyard security? And they didn't interview you? That's weird, man. What's so weird about it? Maybe I'm just that good, I joked. He didn't laugh. Instead, he just said, there's usually weeks of interviews and background checks. I've heard some things about security on nights. Shit that doesn't make sense. Just watch yourself. Things? What are you talking about? You're making it sound dangerous. I can't really say more. Not on the phone, at least. Watch yourself, man. That's all I am saying. And don't drink the Kool-Aid, man. It really is not that happy for employees. Yeah, man, okay. See you around the park. I hope I don't. I refuse to work at night. And with that, he hung up. Dave used to love messing with people. So why not mess with me and making my literal Mickey Mouse job sound scary? What a dumbass I was. I showed up the next night, super eager to get started. I parked and walked down to the main building and saw Penny right away. Her appearance matched her voice. She looked haggard, beat down. What might have once been bright, curly red hair looked dirty and stringy. Her green eyes looked dim, and there were dark bags under her eyes. You must be Mike, she said, smiling wearily. Penny, it's a pleasure to meet you. She sniffed a laugh and said, you say that now. Come on, we haven't got much time and you still need to learn some of the rules before I go. Wait, you're not staying with me? This time she full-on laughed. God, no. That's why I hired you. I'll go over everything with you. You'll be fine. I won't be by myself, will I? Yes, you will. With the park being closed, they cut the budget for officers. They say I only need one, and that one is you. As long as you follow the rules and guidelines I give you, you'll be fine. I really appreciate you working with me here. We are in a pinch after the loss of the last officer. What happened? I interrupted. I can't talk about it yet. You have to sign some paperwork in a few days, including a non-disclosure. Then we can talk about it. If you don't quit on me first. This time I laughed. I'm not going anywhere. I really need this job. I hope so. Come on, it isn't much, but we still have a lot to cover. Once we got on property, she handed me a set of keys, showed me the security office, and handed me a faded yellow paper with barely legible scribbles. What's this? I asked, waving the paper around. That, she replied firmly, is the only thing that will keep you alive. Are you serious? I glanced at the paper and read aloud. Number 1. Do not walk past the Yeti alone. If you hear it howl, run. For real, is this some sort of hazing for a new guy? Hazing was something I was used to. Half expected it, actually. See, when I was in the military, we used to send the new people on all kinds of fun errands. Left-handed screwdrivers, yards of flight line, blinker fluid, you get it. So a list of crazy stuff that I should or shouldn't do seemed like a fun game for my first night. I never said I was the brightest crayon in the box. It's very serious. Look them over real quick, and ask any questions, but I'm leaving before 11. Once it hits 11, you won't be able to leave the park until 7:30. I don't care when you take breaks, just be sure to patrol the area and follow the rules. Rules for Disneyland Graveyard. Do not walk past the Yeti alone. If you hear it howl, run. The ghosts in Haunted Mansion may start on their own. Do not engage with them or try to turn them off. Ignore any voice you hear coming from Smallwold. There is no one trapped. Do not go into Tomorrowland's between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. If Seawald's lamp turned red, do not move until it turns white again. Do not enter Pixie Hollow under any circumstances. If you see a skinny blonde woman looking for a child, help her. Do not let her touch you. Answer call Mountain after 2:30 a.m. If Space Mountain is running, ride at once. If the lights come on, close your eyes. Do not look at them. You must arrive on Tom Sawyer Island between 2:15 and 2:26 a.m. If you are late, stay off the island. If Walt asks you for something, do it. I skimmed the list and laughed to myself. Someone really went above and beyond for this prank. Okay, I'll humor you. Only one question. This is to help Walt. I was pretty sure he was dead. Penny sighed, exasperated. Look, you aren't stupid, right? This place isn't as haunted as you might expect. Sometimes spirits come out. The crowds had been keeping them away, but with everything closed, she thrilled, shrugging. Look, just follow the list. Do what it says, and you'll be fine. If things get bad, well, stay out of sight, and good luck. With that, she glanced at her watch, and it looked like a huge weight fell off her shoulders. It's your time now. If anything happens, my phone number's in the office. I am going home. But, I began, but Penny was already gone. This was any Disney fan's dream. Free reign of the park? Awesome! Sure, it should have struck me as weird, but there was no custodial staff, no managers, fucking no one other than me. Remember when I said I wasn't that bright? So I started patrolling, the list shoved in my pocket, already mostly forgotten. I was making my way to Space Mountain in Tomorrowland when I heard a faint cry for help. A woman's voice looking down Main Street. I saw her. A lone blonde woman, frantically running around between the bridge to the castle and the entrance to Tomorrowland. What the fuck? I whispered to myself, complexly forgetting about the paper in my pocket. Ma'am? Ma'am! Ma'am! I shouted, trying to get her attention. I sprinted up to her. Ma'am, the park is closed. How did you get in here? My baby! Where is my baby? Ma'am, there's no one here but me. The park has been shut down for weeks. There's no way your baby is here. Please, I know my son must be here. You have to help me find him. Ma'am, your son can't be here. I don't even know how you got in. Come on, let me escort you to the exit. Are you sure my baby isn't here? Are you sure you can help me find him? I think what's best is we get you out of here. It isn't safe in here. All right, officer. If you insist, you must be right. In fact, I can't remember how I even got here. She extended an arm and asked, Please, can you guide me? I'm feeling a little weak. Don't forget, I am an idiot. Sure, I said enthusiastically, offering her my arm. She grabbed it, and I helped her walk to the closest exit. I unlocked it and watched her walk away and locked it back up. And a few out there with real security experience are probably screaming at the computer, and rightfully so. Hell, anyone out there who reads and pays attention is probably out of their minds. The whole time I was walking with her, something was bothering me. Something was nagging at the edge of my mind. Being the genius I am, I ignored it. But I think I am too hard on myself. Normally you'd be right. However, the mistakes I made the first 3 nights are the reason I am currently hiding under a blanket in the Haunted Mansion waiting for morning. A morning I am beginning to fear might not come. But I'll get to that, since I have plenty of time right now. I can't hear the pirates or those damn children anymore. The rest of the night seemed to go off without a hitch. I spent my time wandering around. I might have nodded off around 1:30 and woke up after 3, but otherwise, nothing much happened. I realized around 6 that I'd totally forgotten to check on Tom Sawyer's Island. Since everything was shut down, I had to row myself across in one of the boats. That place is extremely creepy after dark. Those that have been there know it isn't a huge area, but large enough that it takes some time to explore. I was making my way around when I heard it. Laughter. Several adults, somewhere in the dark. Hello? Who's out there? No response. I came around the corner and saw I don't even know how many people. Their faces were obscured by their long hair. They looked like hippies, ripped right out of the 70s. The mere size of the group caused me to stumble backwards, dropping my flashlight. The chatter and laughter stopped dead. The entire group turned towards me, and the flashlight illuminated their faces. Their skin hung off their faces, almost like it was melting. Their eyes were black and dead. I stood and tried to back up, only to bump into more of them behind me. Free Minnie, one of them uttered. The smell of decaying fish and rotting flesh filled the air. Help, I screamed, knowing full well there was no one anywhere close. I tried to run through them, and almost made some progress, but more and more of them seemed to arrive. Like a river they flowed over me, and the last thing I saw were their pale faces closing in over mine. I woke up sitting on a bench in front of pirates. Penny was sitting next to me with a bottle of orange juice. You went out there after 2:26, didn't you? What? She sighed and gave me a hard look. The rules. Did you even read them? Just be sure you do before tonight. Tonight? Wait, what were those? What makes you think I am coming back? You survived the first night. I'll give you $3 an hour raise. Survive tonight, and I'll bump you up to even 20 an hour. How's that for motivation? Just tell me what those things were. Back in the 70s, a group of people, like 300, took over Tom Sawyer Island. The park was completely closed down to try and get a peaceful resolution. It was just a publicity stunt. They were asking for the liberation of Minnie Mouse and to cook Porky Pig, as stupid as that was. Everyone was told they left peacefully, but that's not the entire story. Some of them stayed back and tried to hold the island, snuck in weapons. Story I heard is they were dealt with. Stories made up to hide the disappearances, bodies hidden away. You'll notice that there are parts of the park that never get expanded and never get dug up. There's a reason for that. She smiled softly at me and placed her hand on my shoulder. You got lucky. Please just read the rules. Go home and get some sleep. If you're up to it, I'll see you tonight. I told you before, I am not a smart man. I went back and learned why Space Mountain is in the dark. Part 2. Let There Be Light in Space Mountain. I should have quit. I should have stayed home. After what happened the first night, I should have just given up. Most rational and smart people would have. I am not those things. My eyes lit up at the prospect of 20 an hour. I was severely behind on bills and wanted to avoid eviction, so I went back. Now I know why the lights are off in Space Mountain. I showed up early, hoping to ask Penny some questions about the rules she had given me. As soon as she saw me, she tossed me a set of keys and vanished. I was on my own again. I sat down and reviewed the rules, trying to make sure I wouldn't screw up again. Can guess how that went. Alright, I said to myself. Let's see what I should be doing. Do not walk past the Yeti alone. If you hear it howl, run. The ghosts in Haunted Mansion may start on their own. Do not engage with them or try to turn them off. Ignore any voices you hear coming from Smallwood. There is no one trapped. Do not go into Tomorrowland between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. If you see Walt's lamp turn red, do not move until it turns white again. Do not enter Pixie Hollow under any circumstances. If you see a skinny blonde woman looking for a child, help her. Do not let her touch you. Answer call, Mountain after 2:30 a.m. Space Mountain is running right at once. If the lights come on, close your eyes. Do not look at them. You must arrive on Tom Sawyer's Island between 2:15 and 2:26 a.m. If you are late, stay off the island. If Walt asks you for something, do it. Most of them were easy. Avoid certain areas during certain times. Seems simple, right? You won't mind reading if it was. I noticed the two main time constraints and decided to hit Tom Sawyer Island first. Plus, I was damn curious if there was still anything left after my attack. Of course there wasn't. Was it possible I imagined it? Was it possible Penny was still screwing with me? I didn't think so, but part of me still wondered. Clearing the island took me longer than I thought, and was just after midnight when I headed towards Tomorrowland. Blissfully, there was only silence until I got closer to Space Mountain. Sure enough, the ride was going. I walked through the queue and got down to the loading, fully expecting there to be someone operating this thing. Nope, ghost town. From the looks of things, quite literally. Once I got down there, everything stopped and a lone car pulled into the station. I got on. Who wouldn't? As if possessed, the restraints clicked into place and the car started down its path. I glanced up in the control room, hoping it wasn't empty, but expecting it to be. Much to my surprise, there was a figure up there. I could barely make it out, but it looked like it was someone in a long black robe and some sort of weird Mickey face. I shook my head and looked again, trying to get a better view, but it was gone, and then it was off. If you've ever been on Space Mountain, you know how it goes. You zip around in the dark with lights and images around, but mostly in the pitch black. I've never got to see it with the lights on, but I've been told it's very lackluster. The only crazy thing is how close the tracks are to each other, so when the lights popped on, I forgot to close my eyes. I wanted to look, I wanted to see, even if it was boring. The rules slipped out of my mind, until I saw the figures. One on every turn, black robes, creepy masks. Looks something like this. The car even slowed down on the last turn, and one of them pointed at me. It must have been over 7 feet tall, and the face was close enough to see it wasn't a mask. It snarled at me, and in that second I remembered and shoved my eyes closed. When I opened them again, I was back at the loading bay, but the restraints didn't lift. I fought against them. I struggled as hard as I could. I knew I'd already broken another rule. Was damned if I stay here for a second go around. It was already getting really close to 1 a.m., and I wasn't going to be caught in Tomorrowland. But the ride had other ideas. It took off faster than I've ever felt it go. The lights flashed on and off, like a strobe light. Kept trying to open and close my eyes in time, but it was no use. This time, however, there were no figures. When the car pulled in the second time, the restraints lifted, and I made a mad dash towards Small World, trying to get out of Tomorrowland. I was just passing the little Nemo ride at the exit of Tomorrowland, almost to my freedom, when a hand grabbed me and pulled me backwards onto the ground. The woman looking for her child was bad, and her eyes were blood red. Her hands slashed at my face like claws as she screamed, "Where's my baby? What did you do with my baby? I know you have him." Tried to fight her off, tried to free myself, but it was no use. It was like she had superhuman strength. Then it happened. My watch beeped. 1. The next thing I knew, she was gone, but I was surrounded by the rope figures. One of them leaned down and hit me across the face. When I came to, I was tied up in the main hall of Haunted Mansion. The ghosts moved and danced around me. There's a light that made them move too. Except, there were no lights. There were no projectors. The only light were some green glow sticks tossed on the ground. Struggled against my restraints only to fall over and crash hard against the ground. Unseen hands lifted me back up and set me upright. "Intruder," a voice moaned behind me. "You've seen us. Can't leave." I didn't see anything. Can't see anything now. Let me go and you'll never see me again. Too late. I drew a small, faded Swiss Army knife from within the robe and motioned to the other figures to draw in close. My second day, and I was once again surrounded by weird-ass things. Penny and I were going to have a long talk if I got out of this. I needed some answers. I kept struggling, and fell over again. This time, I managed to knock one of the rope figures into one of the ghosts. In a flash, the ghosts were on the rope figures like rabid dogs, gnashing and biting, screaming and howling. By luck, and I'm beginning to think I should play the lotto if I live. The one with the knife dropped it. I shimmied and twisted my way towards it. Managed to get a hand on it. Opening it proved difficult, and I damn near sliced off a chunk of my index finger, but I got through enough of the rope that it ran free. I got myself out of the mansion and sprinted to the security office. It was just past 3, but I sure wasn't leaving the office until Penny showed up. As I sat there, waiting until the silence, I began to think everything would be okay. I thought I just might survive second night. I left the entryway to get a cup of coffee. When I came back, there he was, Walt motherfucking Disney. Cocktail in one hand and a cigarette pinch between two fingers in the other. He took a long puff, smiled, and looked me up and down. Another new security guard, huh? There's been quite a few of you lately. How are you finding it? Now you might think I'd be shocked to see the long-dead founder of Disney sitting in the security office, but after the last 2 nights, this was a break from the insanity. I sighed heavily and sat across from him. There is some really fucked up shit here, Mr. Disney. His face became stern. Normally, I would condemn you for such language, but you are right. Things have been fucked up ever since we closed. The crowds kept the spirits away. With them gone, the evil that lived beneath this place was allowed to flourish. Evil? What evil? Son, there's too much, and today is not the right time. You'll learn more soon. But not now. First, I need to ask you something. They told you about helping me, right? I nodded. They said I should do whatever you ask. The other ones have failed. He looked down sad. You probably will too. In case you can succeed, I want you to stop this. You must promise me. I don't know. I don't think I'm cut out for this. The others weren't either. You took the job, though. We are tied to this place. Find a way to stop it, or you'll become part of it. Find my journal. It has to be somewhere. I shook my head. It's like some shit out of a movie. I guess I can try, but how am I began, but it was gone. Great, I muttered out loud. I drank my coffee and pondered my options. I survived 2 nights, and I learned how important the damn rules were, twice. I didn't think my luck could turn out the 3rd time. Today was different. While the first night I was sure I'd come back, the second night I wasn't so sure. I even told Penny as much. Look, I said, I should collect my equipment from me. I don't think I'll be back tonight. Fucking Walt Disney told me the place was cursed or something, and I needed to help clean it. She stopped what she was doing, and a wave of seriousness took over her face. What did you say? I told him, whatever, that I wasn't sure. What were your exact words to him? I don't remember. I might have said I could try. I don't really know. For the first time I saw Penny smile. And you aren't coming back, huh? No, I don't think I am. Penny actually laughed. All right then, good luck to you. That's it. Sure, that's it. I've told you I'm not very bright, but even I was slightly suspicious. Didn't matter though. I planned on going home and getting drunk, and that's what I did. I wanted to forget. I could find another job. All the stress must have made me tired. Even though I passed out around noon, I didn't wake up until much later. The room was pitch black. Should have struck me as odd considering I live in a city and have windows, but it didn't. I grabbed my phone out of my pocket and checked the time. 11:05 p.m. The light from my phone gave me a quick view of my surroundings, and I realized I wasn't at home. I appeared to be in some sort of office. In the corner a match was struck, illuminating the face of Walt Disney. I thought you agreed to help me. You weren't running away from your obligations, were you? How did I get here? Until you fix this, or you find a replacement, you'll always be here. You can always go the way of the others. I sighed angrily. Fine. Any idea where I should start? Things are foggy. I think I had an old office near where Toontown is now. I stood up stretching. Anything else you can tell me? I asked, but he was already gone. Next to me was a note along with my keys. I knew you'd be back. Good luck tonight and see you in the morning. Penny. Part 3. It's a dead world after all. Penny knew. Maybe she had understood her doom. Maybe it was her replacement. Perhaps she was stuck in his hell before I came along. It would explain how quickly I was hired. Penny had some goddamn explaining to do. Provided I survived the night, I decided it was time to try and solve this Scooby-Doo-ish mystery. If not, I guess I'd keep coming back here until I died. I wasn't patrolling a goddamn thing. If there was some secret, never-before-found office, I was sure I wouldn't find it. I'm a fan, but not like a fan. I'd have no idea where anything like that could be, so I wandered around. If I haven't been up to Toontown, there's only a few rides. Most of it is meet and greet spots for the characters. Mickey's, Minnie's, and Goofy's houses are there for people to walk through. I started in Mickey's house. While I am sure it was bright and cheery during the day, it was a nightmare in the dark. It didn't help that none of the lights were on back there. Using my flashlight, I poked and prodded every wall, every corner. Tried to move all the plastic decorations, but nothing. If there was a secret office, it wasn't here. I was about to walk out when the plastic phone on the wall rang. It shouldn't have, being a fake and all, but still, it rang. Motherfucker, I muttered. I turned to leave. I wasn't about to answer a goddamn ghost phone, but the exit was gone. The door, which like everything else shouldn't have moved, was closed. I pulled on it, pushed it, kicked it. It barely moved a centimeter. I groaned and looked back to the phone, which had stopped ringing. The phone, mocking me, started ringing again, high and shrill. Covering my ears, I ran over to it and answered. What? What do you fucking want? A high-pitched female voice responded. Now, Mike, that's no way to talk if you want to try the pie I'm baking. You better come over fast, it's almost done. Haven't mentioned I'm getting tired of the shit. Why can't it just be easy? You'd think these spirits would want to be free and rest. Instead, they spent the night screwing with me. I turned, and sure enough, the door was open again. Fuck all of you, I shouted as I made my way to Minnie's house. As I walked in the door, the smell hit me. Cinnamon, sugar, maple, and vanilla. It smelled heavily, and my stomach responded. Hello? I called into the tiny plastic one-story home. The pie is done. Will you take it out? A voice asked sweetly from all around me. I'll admit, I let my guard down. The smell? The voice? It all felt almost normal. Sure, the pitch-black house was a red flag, but I was hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since the morning and my binge drinking. So, hoping for the best case, I walked into the kitchen. The only light was from the oven, also made of plastic in case you were wondering, and it dimly lit the kitchen. The smell was overpowering. My mouth began watering involuntarily. I bent down, opened the oven, and saw what was cooking. It was Penny's head. The true smell knocked me over. Sweet and steaky, almost like leather being tanned. Putrid, awful, and heavy. I could almost taste the smell. I vomited all over the floor, and Minnie, she just laughed. What did she do to you? Laughter again. She broke her rules. I've seen the rules. What did she do? I screamed. You've seen your rules. I vomited again. When I looked back at the oven, the head was gone. The smell was gone. The door was open. I ran. I needed to get away. I wasn't sure what was going on anymore. Penny was supposed to help me, give me answers. Could she really be gone? If she was, what did that mean for me? Defeated, not ready to completely quit, I headed back towards the office for some coffee, and to try and think. I was passing Smallwold, I heard it. A chorus of tiny voices screaming for help. For once, I remembered the rules. I laughed and shouted, "Nice try," and kept walking. I stopped in my tracks when something replied, "We know where the office is." Well, shit, I cursed aloud. Was it worth the chance? Was there any chance in hell I could find it on my own? I really wanted to win after what I'd seen in Minnie's house, especially if it turned out to be true. Fuck it, I said, walking over to the ride. As if alerted to my presence, the ride started up. I swear to God, I muttered to myself. I was breaking another rule. Who knew what sort of twisted shit was waiting for me this time? The music was the first thing I noticed that was off. The song was deeper, slower, scratchy. The lights were dim, and the children were barely illuminated. Voices, creepy and high-pitched, filled the air. I don't speak anything but English, but I did try my best to type what I thought I heard. Wat wil je? Wat wilst u? Que veux-tu? What do you want? You know, there's an office no one knows about. I need to know where it is. Play with us. No way. There's a reason I don't have kids. Tell me where the office is. We get so lonely. We haven't been able to play in a long while. Play with us and we can tell you. This seriously some fucked up shit. Am I being filmed? Seriously. Daddy kept us here. Didn't let us play. The happy crowds, the noise kept us satisfied. It's been too quiet. We need more fun. The lights cut out, but the music continued. As I stumbled through the rooms, I heard tiny feet and giggling. A chorus of voices ran out. Catch us! Atrepanos! Glaxin! Au mourir! I said I was ignorant when it came to foreign languages, but I knew enough Spanish to recognize a version of the word death when I heard it. I truly never thought I'd have to play tag for my life. But that's what I get for agreeing to help dead people. So I gave chase, and the little bastards kept tripping me, poking me, and scratching me. Their evil, shrill little laughs filled the air, and that goddamn song beat at my skull, trying to drive me insane. It took me a few minutes, but my eyes adjusted, and I could see the shapes in the dark. But there was one problem. You know that horror movie trope with mannequins? Yeah, it was like that, but instead of one killer, there were dozens of little shits hiding and blending in. They all looked the same. I know they were all supposed to look like different kids of different cultures, but in the dark with blood-red eyes, they all looked the same. I stumbled through the scene, hitting as many of the kids as I could, but none were the ones I was after. I almost had one when a tiny little leg tripped me and I sprawled into the disgusting water. I pulled myself out, shook off and yelled, "That's it. Fuck it. I'm done with this game. Kill me if you want, but I'm done." Then I headed towards the exit. I never expected the sound that came next. Crying. Full-on toddler tears. "But please don't leave. No one comes to see us. Just sit to us and we will tell you what you want to know." Did I mention I hate kids? Fine, I have some questions. I'll sit here if you answer them. First, where's the office? Giggles. The office? It was destroyed. Trying to hide Daddy's secrets. Trying to hide us. All of us. Destroyed. What about this notebook? Hidden away in the tar pit with the true monsters. True monsters? Daddy wasn't very smart. He needed help to create all this. He found a special book and summoned us from another world. But other things came through. We hid here and fed on the joy of everyone. But we've been so lonely. What about the things in Space Mountain? Worshippers. Twisted creatures that thought Daddy was a god, feeding on screams. Fear. Why in the hell did Disney let these things in? He didn't know. He thought the portal was only one way. Are you going to send us home? Disney wants me to. While the voices were soft a moment ago, they turned malicious. We don't want to go home. I stood slowly and raised my hands defensively. Maybe we can work something out. Once I find the book. No, you will betray us. Shrill, ear-splitting screams filled the air, and I ran. Tiny feet pounded after me, and I felt them clawing at my heels. One managed to grab a hold of me and started biting and gnashing at my neck. I wrestled it off and threw it behind me. I heard the sound of thripping and splashing as they fell over and into the water. Thankfully, I made my way to the exit, and from the sounds of it, they stopped chasing me. I was ready to just let this place kill me. Even if I did fix it, I sure as shit wasn't staying here. Not after all this. I looked at my watch. 6:55 a.m. Perfect, I told myself. I'll start looking for the book tonight. I headed back to the office to wait for Penny, hoping what I had seen earlier was just a nightmare. Penny didn't show. Instead, a fatigued man in his late 70s who introduced himself as Todd. "Where's Penny?" I asked, extremely concerned. "If I'm here, something happened to her. Did she tell you anything?" "Some things. She told me." "Don't say anything to me about it," he interrupted. "We all have our rules to follow. She had hers, I had mine, and I assume you have your own. She wasn't supposed to tell you anything. You had to do this on your own, or die trying. So what happened to her?" He sighed. "I'm sure you'll see her soon enough." He looked at me long and hard, and said, "Kid, I really hope you can end this. I'm so tired of being brought back here." With that, he left me alone with my thoughts. I knew I didn't have a choice anymore, so I was determined to figure this out, which brought me to tonight. What must be my third night wandering around this ride. See, there was a rule that was faded. I kept meaning to ask Penny about it, but somehow slipped my mind. I know what it was now. Do not answer any calls in Splash Mountain. Part 3. A Zippity Doodah Day. I've been in here for 3 days. Maybe more. It's hard to keep track. Think listening to Smallwood for hours on end is rough? Try the same 20 seconds of Zippity Doodah, over and over. I came in here hoping to find a goddamn notebook. Instead, I've been hiding and running for my life. You think the fucking TARDIS is bigger on the inside? It's got nothing on this fucking ride. I came in determined to finish this. Where once I was a fan of this place, now I didn't care if it burned. Even considered that as an option, but realized it probably wouldn't work. I shut up like normal and went right for Splash Mountain. Fuck patrolling. I wanted this shit to end. Wanted to find the notebook, see what was in it, and be done. Like all the others, the ride started up as soon as I got to it. Unlike Small World, this one moved at a normal pace. It was, however, loud. Almost unbearably loud. I went through almost the entire thing before something was off. The big drop came like normal, then darkness. The log stopped, as did the music. I stepped out and dim red lights kicked on. The riverboat was still there, but none of the characters were present. The riverboat, which is normally quite stationary, seemed to hum with energy. So I did the single stupidest thing I could think of. I got on it. Almost immediately, it started moving, down a non-existent river. I sighed heavily and sat down. About an hour later, and yes, the music kept fucking playing. I pulled into some sort of dock. Same red glow hung in the air, although I couldn't see lights anywhere. I got off and took in my surroundings. It looked like the dock where the Mark Twain docked on the rivers of America. The sky above me was scrolling with red and black, and there, standing what normally was a path to Frontierland, was a figure. Penny? She took a step towards me, and on instinct, I backed off. And she laughed. A loud, hearty laugh that echoed through the air. Smart. You have learned something. Been breaking the rules, have we? What in the blue hell's going on around here? Red hell, she corrected. You found the place they all come from. He convinced you to look for the book too? It didn't seem like I had a choice. I tried to stay home. You were bound to this place the minute you said you'd help him. Part of the continued ritual. Ritual? I suppose now that I'm stuck here I can tell you more. I used to be on Graves. Got hired, just like you. He handed me the rules. Told me nothing and set me loose. I asked one day, like you. The man, I bet you met him, told me to find a replacement. Someone to take my spot. So I did. Next day I was able to come and go. Until I woke up in a room with Walt. Kid I hired that died. So, did you get asked to find a book? No, he asked me for sacrifices. Tell them nothing, he said. Told me the being were restless and needed bodies. When the crowds are here, it's easy for someone to go missing. Vanish from time to time. Now, they've become angry. The rules were quite literally made to be broken. You just weren't meant to survive. I was already looking for a new person when you made it through your first night. Bribed you to come back, hoping you'd die the second night. You what? Hang on. Then you got some of them to talk, and I found myself in the park, tied up, with Walt next to me. I saw you heading in Toontown, and Walt looked at me and shook his head. He's not supposed to still be alive, Penny. They need a sacrifice, and they want you. My soul can't rest, and now neither will yours. He gave me to the hooded things, and when I woke up, I was here. I certainly didn't expect to see you. Figured you'd give in after everything else. Is there even a book? There is, in his office. Office is in the same place here as it is back home. Are the creatures here too? Now that I've seen. Come on, she said, reaching for my hand. Let's walk together. We walked, and I filled her in on everything that happened. You didn't really chase them around? I sure did. I laughed and yelled at them too. Never having kids after this. She smiled. You're kind of a shit employee, aren't you? Can't even follow some simple rules. Yeah, you're one to talk. Could've just let me die. So what? I thought maybe we could get out of this. We made our way down the streets to the fire station and looked up. Even in this world, there was the office, and its lamp was shining bright white. The only light in this world. This all seemed too easy. But I was tired and not very bright. Went up to the office, and sure enough, right on the desk was a book. About the size of a textbook and a smaller notebook. But in that second, I realized I had no idea what I was actually looking for, so I took both. Put the notebook in my pockets and started flipping through the bigger books. Grabbed the book and walked outside. Much to my surprise, Penny was still there. I smiled as I walked up to her. Oh my god, you'll never guess what book was in there. Stop moving, she screamed. What? I said, looking around. Then I saw it. The light was red. I stumbled backwards and fell over. Crap. You ever go somewhere that's below zero? You feel the cold piercing your bones and every fiber of your being? Imagine that, but with a shriek. Hundreds of shrieks. I ran. I didn't even think to see if Penny was behind me, but she was. We flew down Main Street and made a sharp left towards the boat. From Tomorrowland came dozens of the masked figures. Through the castle came the little bastard toddlers, all making a beeline for us. Motherfucker, I screamed, nearly out of breath. They were coming from all sides, bodies crawling over each other, trying to catch us. I was on the boat. I was safe. I looked around to see Penny had fallen. They were almost on her, dropped the book and ran back. Dollars got to her first, clawing and slapping at her legs, kicked them off of her, and dragged her to her feet. They swarmed around us, blocking the way. I told you I didn't want kids. I don't know what I'd feel right ever having one after what I did next. I kicked, bunted, punched, slapped. I know they weren't real toddlers, but they sure as shit felt like real ones. Their bodies began piling up, and Penny was free. I grabbed her and dragged her on the boat. I picked up the book and looked at Penny. Relief washed over me. The boat didn't move. Why won't it move? Penny walked up and put her hands on my chest. You now, she said, leaning in closer. Us creatures from this side can't go back. What? Us? She slid her hand around my throat and squeezed, bringing her other hand to join. I slapped at her arms, but she'd gotten so strong. You really thought we would let you take the book? You won't send us back here? I tossed the book towards the water, and she recoiled in horror and dove after it. The second she was off the boat, it started moving. Penny crawled ashore, triumphantly clutching the book. The Weird History of Disney book that was somehow sitting in the office. Pulled the notebook out of my pocket and began reading. It seemed like I had learned was true. Walt had ideas, but they all failed. Then he found a ritual, performed it, and suddenly, success. He had idea after idea. The funding for the park came through, and everything was turning up Disney. Being about as smart as me, he never questioned the cost, and didn't think about it until the day they had the first child go missing. According to his journal, it had been a slow season, and the child just up and vanished. The mother, a young blonde woman, was so distraught she threw herself off a building. Walt started seeing her around the park after closing. It didn't take him long to put it together, but it was too late. He spent his remaining years trying to find a way to stop it, but the journal just ended before it was successful. There were, however, several illegible scribbles over all the final pages, but it looked like insane doodles. When the boat landed back inside the ride, the lights were back on and the character had returned. Got back in my log and continued like normal. When I exited, Walt was waiting for me. When he saw the journal, his eyes lit up. Before I could even speak, he said, "Burn it. Burn it now." After all this, I still wasn't that bright. I did as I was told. Walt began to change in front of me. The human facade melted away, and what remained was a grotesque, melted version of Mickey Mouse. Red, fiery eyes stared into my skull, and I was paralyzed with fear. You just saved me lots of work. Imagine Mickey talking, but his hefty, high-pitched, silly voice was deep and gurgly. Sounded like he had a mouthful of oil. How about a promotion for all your hard work, haha? How about you fucking let me leave? I replied, half expecting it to kill me. You and I can do great things, haha. Just find me a sacrifice, and you can have everything you want, just like Walt did. Do I have a choice? You can be the sacrifice. I smiled, and knew what I had to do. Part 5. We are hiring. I am terribly sorry for such a delay in responding to y'all. There have been so many inquiries into what has happened, but with everything going on here at the park, I just haven't had the time to fill you all in on what has been happening here. First of all, let me say this. Thank you from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much for reading my story. I hope it brought all of you some joy reading about your favorite place, especially while it is closed down. All of you really seem to enjoy my journey so far, so I thought I'd post a new and final updates so you were not left wondering what became of me. So very much has happened since the last time I was able to post on this great sub. I thought it was only fair that I get around to letting you know how things have been going here. Everything has been wonderful, amazing, great, and good. Things are spectacular since I was given the promotion. I was so incredibly shocked when Walt asked me to stay on. I thought for sure I was going to get fired after what happened. At the very least, I expected a severe demotion. Instead, he offered me a promotion. Me. Can you believe it? It's so crazy that I got promoted only a few days. Day shift security manager. I can hardly believe it. Now comes the real reason I'm writing for all of you today. Things are changing fast here, and we need to do something about it. I've been given the chance to make some key changes around here, so that I was intended on doing. I'm even looking for some help. Seems I no longer have someone to work nights after poor Penny went missing, and it is so hard to find a replacement. All the old employees just cannot seem to make the effort we need. So we really need some fresh blood here. I bet one of you has what it takes to make the grade. Do you want to test yourself? Take on a new challenge? Protect the magic and all the wonderful things that live here? Join the Disney family and become part of the magic. There's so much room for all of you, and we'll take such good care of you all. Walt and I would love to have you. The children would love someone new to play with. They have gotten so very lonely without anyone to visit with them. Minnie has been cooking every day in the hopes that some fresh faces will come by. And my friends on the island always loves visitors. I feel like to see Space Mountain with the lights on. Trust me, it is not something that you want to miss out on. Someone out there has to have that special something we are looking for. That special quality that screams Disneyland. One of you is that super special, one-in-a-lifetime candidate that will really bring this place to life. It doesn't matter if you have 0 security experience or 50 years experience. We don't care what you did before, we just want your help now. I, as you of course know, didn't have any security experience when I got hired, or skills to help me in this field, and look how far I went. I even got promoted after only a few days. Imagine what you can accomplish with me and Walt's help. There will be so many opportunities to really see what this place is all about. I know one of you might be just who I need to freshen up this place. Take some time and really reflect. Look inside yourself and see if you have what it takes to protect the happiest place on Earth and all of its inhabitants. Send me a response if you think you have what it takes to guard the happiest place on Earth. I'll be more than happy to interview you, talk with you, and maybe even bring you by at night for a private walk around. There are so many of us that cannot wait to welcome you here. We are all waiting for you. I just hope I haven't scared most of you off with these tales. When I started, there was no way I could understand the importance of my role, especially during this crazy time. I may have misunderstood some things here, and I certainly hope that did not scare any of you away. The last thing we all want is to stop you from visiting us. You have to trust me. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Everything is totally safe. You can trust me, friends. Please. Even if you do not want to work here, you have to come visit soon. Everyone here is so restless without you friends visiting. But please, apply if you think you're up for it. There is so much work left to be finished. We have to be ready when the people come back. It has been so very long since there were lots of fresh people. And we are expecting so many when we reopen. So we need to be ready. We always have space for more happy people to come work and become part of this loving family. Join us. Become one with this place and stay forever. This is such a lovely place to be, and even I am getting so lonely here. Will any of you please come visit? Come help me protect the land and everything that lives here. Trust me. Once you start working here, you will never want to leave. It truly is the best place on Earth, and please remember to always have a lovely, fantastic Disneyland. We'll be here waiting for all of you. Nothing has changed. Stay away. It's not safe. It isn't over. It has my soul. Save yourself.